Think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor, and this is the Motor City. This is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. You know, we're proud of our automotive heritage in Detroit and other Grosse Pointes, but we'll make no apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective. With me here today, I have none other than Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com. Chris.
Hi, John.
Thanks for joining us. They can tell.
You done yet? That's cool.
No, it's really cool. They can tell we're not in the WMTV studios. We are here at the North American International Auto Show, and it's probably not the backdrop you'd expect. We're actually downstairs.
We're in the basement. And it's not because we can't go upstairs.
They won't let us upstairs. No, it's we found something really cool during the auto show upstairs, and we thought you would think it's cool too. We're down here to watch behind us on this little track, this little black car. What's it called again?
The Strati, which is Italian for layers.
Strati?
Yes.
I think I had that at Bucci's restaurant on Grosse Pointe.
It could be. It's great with linguine.
Oh, it is? Okay, well, no, it's a Strati, and this little black car you see behind us is actually an electric car, and believe it or not, this car is not made in a conventional manner, Chris.
It's 3D printed.
Did you hear that?
There's a machine upstairs, and they are printing one right now.
This car was 3D printed.
It's the wildest thing. It's ABS plastic. It's got carbon fiber infused into it. They melt the pellets, they put it out in a layer, and they put it down in there, and off you go.
Can you believe this? We're talking about a 3D printed car, and they say it's the world's first 3D printed car.
Indeed.
And it is making an appearance at the Detroit Auto Show. Now, we will take you upstairs. We'll show you the 3D printer. In fact, they're making one, right?
They're making one now, and it'll be ready Friday, and it'll be on the track Friday, and they're going to print 2 surprises.
Now, you might think to yourself, when I go to the auto show, this is not what I expected, and that's why we're bringing these kind of crazy vehicles to put them in context for you. Chris, what's the likelihood, first of all, that anyone would buy this or drive it?
Well, it's a city car. It's a Renault Twizy powertrain and the suspension, and so they've basically adapted that to this, and it's top speed 40 miles an hour, and it's driving in the city.
Wow.
And you build it. You're part of the build team, so that you can get this on the road as a kit car.
This is why they call it local motors.
Local motors.
Okay,
exactly.
because if there was a company making this, and it was a central company and not making it in your locality, or if they made it, then it wouldn't pass.
And it would have to meet all these standards that you don't have to do it. And this thing, I like it. I want the machine for myself. I want to put it in my garage and print up anything I want.
No. that would be a horrible idea, because
I'm not printing up the women anymore.
Oh, good, thank God, because you could tell, just buy a mannequin. No, the problem with Chris is that he sees the kinds of technologies in these cars, and let's talk a little bit about the technology in this car. First of all, it's not plastic alone that it's made from.
It's ABS plastic and mixed with carbon fiber.
Now, carbon fiber is a big buzzword in the NAIAS.
It's the fibers themselves. It's
okay, the fiber.
It's not the impregnated resin that you see that is the final deal.
And when we talked to them earlier, they said a little bit of the ABS plastic actually is recycled materials.
Mm-hmm. Some of it is, yes.
So they take ABS, mix in some recycled materials, sprinkle some fairy dust from carbon fiber, mix it all together. And when you look at this car closely, we'll take you a closer look, it looks, Chris, I'm going to be honest with you.
It's layers, it's ugly.
It looks like silly string.
It does, it's all layered. But what you do is you basically print out around all the voids in the car. The voids being where the engine would go, where the instruments would go, where the suspension would go. And then you bolt those things up. And it takes, I can't remember, 41 hours now to print the darn thing,
right,
and 2 hours to put all the parts on
Unbelievable.
And you're on the road.
So all they had to do is figure out, first of all, someone designed this. It was an Italian design.
Italian guy. It was all done over the internet.
Can you imagine? They put out a contest over the internet.
There's a whole
Who wants
community
to
that
design
does
a little car? And this guy won of many entries all over the world.
There are hundreds of entries, and they all collaborate back and forth. Do this, try this,
via the
try
internet.
That.
Right.
And the whole thing is that you can then send all the plans over the internet to any local motors area. So when they get all these designs together, you can say, oh, I want the off-road vehicle, I want this, I want that, and they don't have to build it at a plant and deliver it to you. They do it right there.
So if you had the special design you wanted, you could send it to Local Motors, have it carbon printed, and then of course now these guys are happy because they don't have to come up with the mechanicals. Remember on one of our previous shows we talked about an electric car that didn't sell too well, the Renault Twizy.
Well, yeah,
it was just one of many Renaults that we're not selling. Well, Renault's got to be happy to supply them with all these powertrains.
Yeah,
and
because
parts.
the more electric vehicles out there, the better for them.
That's right. So now they're figuring, all right, we'll give you all the mechanicals. You guys go and carbon print whatever you want for the body of the car, and guess what? Now you can come up with something truly custom if a city car suits your lifestyle. Now, for me, I'm not driving that down I-94 in the winter in a winter storm.
No, but you don't want to be in a smart car either.
No. Okay. Well, what we should do, Chris.
What you actually want to be is in one of those from the Army.
The U.S. Army Hummer would be. But we wanted to show you, and we talked a lot about on the show about technology. We talked about, fuel cells, and we'll go upstairs and see that. We'll talk about plug-ins and hybrids. We talked about a lot of the things that people are looking at. But we think something like a 3D printed car using composite resins,
yes.
Working with the federal government on some grants, and these are a lot of propeller heads working on this, Chris.
Right, and I was talking with the guys from Steel yesterday, and they told me, they said, there's theoretically it's possible to 3D print steel. So think about that.
Now, I know we think we've lost our minds here on Cars in Context because we're all
And you wouldn't be the first. And you won't be the last.
But the sheet metal stuff still interests us. We just thought maybe seeing something like this, could this be where the future is?
This is not the final product, but this is the step along the way.
Yeah, every piece, every part of automotive technology started someplace. And this, Chris, a toe in the water of just somebody's idea of what I can do. My question to you is, when you say you're halfway through your 3D printed car, what if you run out? Do you have to go to Staples to get more ink? Oh, it's not ink.
No.
Oh, thank God. Well, why don't we take you on a little trip? We'll actually go upstairs to the North American International Auto Show in 2014 and 15. A huge difference we've noticed.
Oh yeah.
This is if you watched our show last year, the 15 show is a totally different place and experience. You didn't see anything like this down here. Now, Chris, you also see a lot of other electric vehicles that are going to use the track later today. Technology. You kids, if I made fun of propeller heads, I love you guys.
But you're still propeller heads.
Now, Chris, tell them what you said when we wanted the best interview. Where did we go yesterday to find what we were looking for? What person? Was it the PR Slack?
No, we went for the nerd.
We went. That's right. So all you guys that like Big Bang Theory and you have that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the guys who are thinking. I hate to say this, outside the box.
At least you didn't say white space.
Yeah, that's the buzzword this year.
The buzzword this year is white space.
Everybody's in the white space. So,
and let me tell you, after seeing most of this stuff that's in the white space, it isn't.
It should have stayed in the white space. Plus, yesterday it snowed on the first press day.
There was the white space.
That was a lot of white space. There was white space.
94,
we came down Jefferson. Yeah. A lot of white space on Jefferson, I'm going to tell you. But we think, let's go up and take a little close look at the car. We'll show you some of the little features of the car. Actually get to look at some of the texture, and then we'll go see it actually 3D printed. Come on, Chris, let's go.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us after the break. Yes, did you just see something? You saw Lauren Parrott of WMTV get to drive in this, can you believe it, a 3D printed car? Lauren, what was it like to be out there on that little track, and how did it feel to drive? It sounded pretty quiet.
It was quiet. It was really smooth. It was a smooth ride. The driver is very cute. He's from Las Vegas.
Well, we were not asking you to pay attention to that stuff, but see, Lauren sees things that we, as auto journalists, don't normally see. As far as the car goes, were you looking at anything in the interior? It's kind of crude.
Yeah, honestly, John, I wasn't really paying attention.
All right, I have a question for you about now. When you got in it, you hop in it like a buggy.
Yeah.
Was it comfortable?
It was very comfortable. Very comfortable. The seats were really comfortable, a lot of room.
Can you imagine, let's say if you lived in a gated community or somewhere that you had this in your garage, like you wanted to go run down to a friend's house, would you be able to drive something like this in a little electric car?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the problem is, when you went and walked up to it, did you think it was cute? What's your opinion of how it looks?
So I mean, it wasn't very visually pleasing. It was okay. It was a car, you know.
So in other words, Lauren Parrott of WMTV can notice how the driver looks, but not too sure about how the car looked. But that's the way the auto industry is these days. Lauren, I really appreciate you cutting time out of producing the show to go taking a ride in the Strati and meeting a guy from Las Vegas. See what'll happen when you drive around in a 3D printed car? Speaking of that, Lauren, why don't we go upstairs and go see how it's made? Does that interest you at all?
That does actually.
Okay. She wants to check that out, and who knows who we'll meet up there. All right, let's go up and we'll find where Chris is, probably somewhere around that 3D printer at the 2015 North American International Auto Show here in Detroit. Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, now folks, Chris and I are here on the business end of Local Motors' little 3D printer. And when
Little?
I say yeah,
That's pretty big.
This is probably the biggest 3D printer you guys have seen in a while, right?
Absolutely.
But just to give you a little glimpse of what is actually taking place right now, as you can see, it's 3D printing the inner wheel panels to our little car, the
Right.
Parrot Mobile.
The Parrot Mobile,
That's
yes,
what I call it.
exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
We've
So-
now given it a name. Strati was
Strati
too
was so
European,
Italian, yeah. We need something more Grosse Pointe. What's
Exactly.
more Grosse Pointe War Memorial than Lauren Parrott?
Exactly.
Nothing. So, what we wanted to show you here is this is the beginning of the process. So they've designed this car. There's certain panels that they've already have the material put in place, right, Chris?
Right.
And then they set into the computer.
Basically, what you have to do is you have to create a 3D model of the vehicle.
Okay.
Inside, outside, the whole volume, if you will, of that vehicle in 3 dimensions.
Okay.
And then you slice it in very thin slices on the computer.
Kind of like a MRI.
Exactly. And it's
CAT
and,
scan.
and that information is then sent here, and it builds it up from bottom to top.
Okay, now do you see why when you look real closely at the car, you see these little layers, which is Strati.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's why with the 3D printer, when it builds the body, it's reading
It's
that.
basically following around. It's like if you were decorating a cake and you're putting the writing on the top of it. It's the same sort of idea. That is your print head. And you're following around in this thing and you're building one layer on top of another. As you're putting it down, that's molten
Right.
ABS with carbon fiber in it. And it's cooling as it's coming out. So you know what that flow rate is as it's coming together. And as it's touching the one that's below it that's
Right.
cooling, it's sintering itself to it. It's just gluing it together.
So strong
it's
as one piece.
Exactly.
So even though it looks like I called it silly string at the beginning of the show,
It does, yeah.
it is actually bonded together to form a single piece because of the high temperature.
Exactly.
And it's at that molten state where, no matter how, if you would extrude ABS plastic, you'd be in the same situation. So,
But this doesn't have a void that you would have in extrusion, potentially.
Right.
This is solid all the way through.
so when this form, if you will, is put into the 3D printer, then what happens is after it builds this mold, then the technician would have to cut holes in it for
Right now, yes. What they're working on is to be able to create fixtures that the printing head can work around so that,
Okay.
for example, they have aluminum extrusions to hold the suspension together.
Right.
In
We saw
place.
those little pieces.
Exactly. So they want to be able to put in a fixture in there that, for example, just off the top of my head, would hold it from the top and the bottom, and the print head would print around it so that they then wouldn't have to cut the hole
Remove
and
any
put it.
material.
See, the void is there, but you have
Right.
to cut the hole in the top and the bottom to
I
get
see.
it there.
Now, Chris did talk to some of the folks here at Local Motors, and they were telling us that right now with this 44 hour kind of process time to actually 3D print a car, they said they're looking at already an advancement to
Right.
try to get some of that time reduced by putting it inside the car. How do you think that would work, Chris?
That's a really good question. That all
They
comes
said they
down
wanted to
the-
hold it,
Yeah,
right?
that's the fixturing.
Okay, So that the printer head could then be...
Could get down inside, do it inside, outside, instead of building it all the way around the exterior and then
Right.
the interior in one continuous loop. You'd be building it from the outside, or from the inside out,
Wow.
and up.
Well, you guys with printers, if it's like say 3 different colors going at the same time.
Yeah, well, you know, think about it.
Think about your printer at home.
You think about your printer at home, you say, oh, it's everybody's got one. It's so there's nothing to it. But when you think about what goes into that you're shooting out droplets of ink at hundreds of miles an hour,
Right.
and it's showing up in this tiny little thing, showing up at exactly the right spot at the right time. This is doing the same thing, but on a much larger scale. And already, Jay Leno was using a very small version of this to create parts for his old cars that they don't make parts for. So he has them designed up, he prints them in 3D, and then he takes them out to a metal maker and has it cast.
Now, folks, the process in metal, think about like guys who would have a custom part made in CNC.
Yes.
Which is a very...
Computer numerical control, yep.
So they put in a CNC machine to control this computer design and actually mill it out of
a solid billet or whatever, yeah, exactly.
That process is super expensive. The machinery...
And there's a lot of waste to it.
Oh yeah,
well.
I mean you're taking a solid piece of metal and
there's almost no waste to this process.
Yeah, think about it.
Because you'll be milling down some surfaces to get rid of the layering,
right,
to give it different look to it.
And think about when we first started how that little plate looked really flat. Now you can see it's building up several layers on top of each other. Actually, you can see that the layers are growing. And just like you said, I like the analogy of like if you're
decorating
doing cake,
yeah, exactly.
You build it up. You have the bottom one first, and they sit on top of each other.
And I know that only because the kids wouldn't play with me when I was younger, so my mom would have me help her in the kitchen.
So you're saying,
but, hey, what can I say?
Chris Sawyer, the co-host of Cars in Context, what would he know about decorating a cake? Well, thank you, Grandma Sawyer, for giving him that easy bake oven when he was 9. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
burned myself on the light bulb.
Which is right about now. You folks who had an easy bake oven, you do realize that now that they don't sell incandescent bulbs anymore,
you're screwed.
You can't even cook your little brownies, even though there's a new one now. I guess it uses a quartz halogen.
Those are hot.
Yeah, I know. So there's so much sort of technology taking the fun out of life.
Exactly.
No, when you think about it, think about all the ways that you may have heard 3D printing. I bet you nobody out there would ever expect to see 3D printing on cars.
And I can guarantee you one thing, that Thermwood, which is helping them with it, and does wood, and that's how they came into all of this.
Okay.
Now they're doing this with this. You're taking technology from other areas and bringing it in here, adapting it. This is going to get faster, lighter, smaller. It really is going to come down to I predict that in 20 years, the most expensive part of doing this car is going to be the material that goes into it, not the actual production process of it itself. This is going to be something that you can do in a little factory, those little factories that they've got. Lights out. You can turn it on in the morning, walk away, and it'll take care of itself. You come back in the morning, it's done.
Can you imagine this? Now, a lot of typical, excuse us, sir, walking through the shot there? That's okay.
Photobombed again.
But a lot of people would be in a typical car show, and they would look at something like this and say, these guys are just they're crazy. They're off.
Right. And we are crazy, and we are off. But this is the future.
How do you think little things got invented?
Well, remember the old television show that was on PBS that talked about the relationships between things, how this led to this to this? Technology didn't start in one place and somebody had the whole idea.
Right.
You're grabbing things from all sorts of different areas and coming up with something.
Right.
And this is the same sort of thing. We're going to get to the point where you're going to be building up tubs like that for cars like the Ford GT.
Can you imagine, folks? Why we're bringing this to you really today is it sounds like something that's insignificant. It really. And when you look at this,
mega. This is major.
When we show you on WMTV the Parrott Mobile and say that, well, I'd never have that. But that's how ideas start in the industry, and that's why we think it's kind of fascinating to see this kind of small.
I always thought it was Polly wants a cracker, but Lauren wants a car, and the guy from Vegas.
Well, she did say if he had a Corvette, she'd probably remember that.
Well, yeah.
I just want you to know that sometimes it's not about the finished product. I think the story here is, little ideas start off. They got something in me. Now, do I think the big three have something to worry about? Probably not, but I think it's something they need to pay attention to.
It's something they need to pay attention to because they will be able to do specialty cars this way. Companies like Lotus, for example, which has made itself on small volume production, will be able to do cars this way.
A perfect example is when you do small parts. Nobody ever thought CAD CAM with computer-aided design and engineering you could actually test something totally on the TV screen just with the 3D rendering and drawing, and with stresses and
all the analysis,
where things attached to it.
Exactly.
Completely on a computer without ever making a part. And that
started years ago with General Motors building acrylic clear models of the structures and testing them while they had strain gauges on them, and using all of that information and building up over the years all the knowledge base that has led to things like this.
Right. So even though it may seem like this is just the start of something, and that started somewhere too.
But this is a warning to all those people in this industry, and there are many of them. They're very high places who say heritage means nothing, history means nothing. No, no, no. You don't wake up in the morning and invent the wheel. The wheel's been invented. You're standing on the shoulders, literally, of giants, and one day people will be standing on your shoulders, and it's all built up from what people have been doing before you and adapting from other places.
Right.
This is really how this industry goes, how every industry goes, but especially automotive.
I really think that right now, when you think about all the crazy things you expect to see at the auto show, these are the kinds of things that you really got to take in as well. It makes you start thinking about, Detroit's taking it on the chin. Oh, everything's happening out in Silicon Valley. Guess what, folks? This is cutting edge stuff, and no pun intended.
Well, yeah. Boy, I'm amazed how much has grown in the time we've been here.
I know.
Those things are going to be done before we're done.
I really think if you stop and think about coming to shows and just seeing the interactive parts.
Yeah, don't just look for the normal. Look behind the scenes. Look what else is. Here we have ZF and Denso and all those. These are the people who supply all the parts to your car. There are many. They're some of the major suppliers out there, and the car companies. The dirty little secret is they don't like to tell you that those guys are doing a lot of this work and inventing a lot of these things. They just, oh, it's all ours. We did it. We're whoever. No, baloney. It's coming from a lot of these people. And these people are doing some fantastic stuff. And these guys, quite honestly, local motors could disappear tomorrow. But the effect that they're going to have on the auto industry is tremendous.
Now, this is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about why it's important for Detroit to have its industry here. This kind of stuff, when they show it here in our educational community, our business community, our suppliers, working with these suppliers, these are all jobs. Young people, they don't have to move to China or to Korea or Japan or even out west.
And the thing about this is it's all being done over the internet. It's being done open source. Right. You can co-locate and collaborate from anywhere.
Correct. And I think their first store is going to be somewhere. Is it in Phoenix?
Yes, they have it in Phoenix.
And really the headquarters is located out in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
I mean, so really it's like the internet kind of brought everybody together, but it kind of shows you why it's important we don't lose something like the auto industry.
Or if you're thinking that the auto industry is really not that high tech.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Do you care if it's in Japan or Korea? Yeah, you care, because this is the kind of stuff that's going on right here in our own backyard. And our own young people coming out of college have a real science they can get interested in.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the latest stuff in tech. So I hope you enjoyed that part of it, Chris. Let's go see another part of this fun, interesting local motors.
Absolutely.
Hi, and welcome back. Now we're up here at the North American International Auto Show 2015 with our friend Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com. Chris,
hi, John.
Thanks for joining me again. This whole segment.
Wait, what happened downstairs?
Well, I got the chance of a lifetime to get the PR girl to let an WMTV person get in this little cool 3D printed car. And guess what?
It held your weight?
No, it was Lauren. I sent Lauren Parrott into our chance to drive in the 3D printed car. Lauren did, as you can see, spend some great time on the track.
Wow.
And what happened,
I'm
Chris?
impressed.
While you were gone, I interviewed Lauren, and
And she showed you up, didn't she?
She did. Here was her insights on this 3D print. She told me that the guy driving it was really cute and lived in Las Vegas. So that's why I think,
so in other words, there was nothing about the car that put her off.
I guess you're right. Now, she did say that she, if it was something that should just take her to here and there on an electric car, it was cute, it was quiet, ran pretty smooth. That's all that she remembered until, luckily she didn't have business cards to pass out. But I gotta tell you this, folks. She did give us a little insight into what this car would be used for. And now that we're up here, seeing it get 3D printed, the bottom line, Chris, Lauren didn't say it was pretty, but
it's not pretty.
It's not meant to be pretty.
The funny thing is, this is what they've been printing since we got here on Monday.
Right. We were here on the first day of Press Day at the North American International Auto Show.
And they were just starting on this.
And you know, it was kind of like running through the print, and it was they said they're going to build what, maybe 1 or 2 cars here during the show.
They might get as many as 4. They might do 2 of the Strati and 2 surprises.
Wow. So this, what you're seeing here, is the actual car, the body that Lauren Parrott was in as a passenger driving downstairs at the auto show. This is the same.
Not that apparently she really cared.
No, she didn't. But this is, now you can see how this is the car, and all they had to do then after this is a few, several hours.
Basically what they do is they then cut out the holes for the,
you can see some
the
of
openings for the suspension, the steering, the drivetrain. They bolt that all up, and it's done. And the funny thing was, I was talking to these guys yesterday. 18 months ago, it was 7 days to print this car. Now it's down to about 41, 44 hours.
Can you imagine starting with an idea that you put in a computer, and 44 hours later, you have a car body ready to be assembled into the...
Or in my case, you have to sit there and go, no, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, you change it. But the idea here is not so much the fact that, okay, so the mechanicals, if you will, are purchased from Renault and another builder. It's not about that. Why we're excited here at Cars in Context is to bring you the idea of someone with an idea, a style in their head.
Right, but think of it, John. Years and years we've been talking about vehicle personalization.
Right.
This is vehicle personalization. You can build yourself your own car.
Now, can you imagine, folks? Think about that, what Chris just said. Let's say you go to one of these local motors factories that they want to locate all over the U.S., have an idea, pick one of the designs, and maybe you kind of design it as long as it meets their...
Change some things,
Yeah, and you can change it up, and then as soon as you submit it, you can put it into the 3D printer and have it printed up, so you're driving the car that you designed.
That's amazing.
That really is. Talk about vehicle personalization.
Yeah, and if I had me taste it, it'd probably look good, but...
No. So, and the name that we saw downstairs was the...
Strati.
We're going to call it the Parrot-mobile. In honor of Lauren Parrott, but the Strati, like we said, it was just designed by an Italian designer. Wouldn't you like to be able to maybe go to a shop, design your own car, and then come back and help assemble it?
That's part of the deal. That's part of the deal.
And the idea is because if it's local motors, you assemble it. It's not then a car that has to meet all the government standards. It's a hand-built, hand-assembled car, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And something as small and as light as that, where the tub is the body, is the car.
Right.
That's great.
Now, part of it, ABS plastic, so it's not going to rust. The other part, with the carbon fiber pieces in with the material, it's got to be pretty strong.
Oh, it's extremely strong. It's extremely strong.
So you can imagine something like that. 44 hours later, you do some assembly, maybe, what do you think, a couple days to assemble that?
Oh, if you had a team doing it at Local Motors, you could probably get it done in a day.
Can you imagine? So you come in with a design, you get it 3D printed, the next day you come in, build your car, you drive home in your own personal car. That's the kind of crazy stuff that goes on.
Hey, Mom, look what followed me over home from Local Motors.
Yeah, well, the Parrot-mobile. So we wanted to show you the kinds of technology that
had to put a big L on it, like Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the L. You're right. I think it's absolutely right. But just to make you think about things that maybe when you come to the typical auto show, you would never expect to see. So if you're coming down to the North American International Auto Show, this is maybe a little booth. Look at the hiding little in the corners.
If you want to know what the industry is going to be like in 15 years, it's right here. This is the beginning of all of this.
That's right.
This is scaring the hell out of the big three, quite honestly. They may not think it right now.
Little ideas.
But this is starting to worry them.
That's right. Really cool. So we hope if you do come down here, don't just look at all the great cars and shiny cars. Look at all the little corners and check out some of the great technology.
Absolutely.
We got this idea from our friend Chris Sawyer. Chris, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us again on another.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us. And don't forget, we have two other shows from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Part 1, which is where the cars are the stars, and Part 2, where we talk about trucks and utes and the real trends in the industry. Make sure you check us out on WMTV or on our YouTube channel, Cars in Context TV. Until next time, remember that our motto is knowledge is power. I'm your host, John Clor. Thanks for watching.